The peak of British industry came in 1913. The world was moments away from war. Our production of coal and cotton reached levels which would never be surpassed again. And a man who was to come to dismantle what remained of this fierce time was yet to be born. That man's name was Fred Dibnah.
Do you like that?
Now, I'm going to assume that the majority of my audience know who Fred Dibnah is. But for those of you that might not, the younger ones, or maybe if someone watched one of my videos which wasn't about chimneys, Fred Dibnah was a steeplejack. A steeplejack is someone who mends tall things, repairs clock towers, church spires, and most importantly for Fred Dibnah was mill chimneys. So I recently bought this book about Fred Dibnah. It's called Did You Like That? And it's like an autobiographical, long interview-esque monologue, essentially, of him just talking about things that he liked, steam engines, the Victorian times, mill chimneys. So I'm going to bring that with me today as we walk around and look at the industrial history that is left behind still here in Lancashire. Now, people always comment on my video saying, you must hate Fred Dibnah because he was the man that was responsible for knocking down all the chimneys. So as well as repairing them, when Dibnah was born in the 30s, these chimneys were losing their prominence. They were really not used for anything aside from just being nice to look at. So a lot of them were getting demolished, and they used to call upon Fred. But he actually says that he didn't like this part of the job. I'll read you what he says about it. The side of the job I am least happy about, but best known for, is felling chimneys. Aren't you that chap who topples the chimneys? People ask me. I am, but I wish I weren't. I'd have been happier if Lancashire was still covered by its forest of chimneys, and I could have spent my life keeping them beautiful and in good nick. It would have been appropriate to do this video in Bolton, where Dibnah was born and he died. However, all the chimneys there are pretty much gone. I've done a video there. However, in neighbouring Burnley, which I was driving through the other day, I just kept seeing them everywhere. So I thought, let's get to Burnley. Let's go explore. It's still Lancashire. I'm sure Dibnah spent a lot of time here, but he didn't knock down all the chimneys. So let's do it.
Fred's chimney toppling performances have always attracted a following. Pensioners, children, strange men who describe themselves as chimney enthusiasts.
And over there we have the first chimney that we've come across. And it looks like the derelict mill is still on it. So let's get a bit closer. Just look at this overgrown land now, which will have been the mill grounds, I assume. Wonder if you, Fred, ever visited this mill and came and looked at the steam engines that were there. What's interesting is, with Dibnah, the way he describes being at the top of these chimneys in this book, it's so beautiful, and it's hard to imagine just what it would be like to be up there. But now with the modern technology of drones, I've got one, and I've sort of learned to fly one. I'm not great at it, but I can get to the top of them, and it's so interesting reading his perspective of the world from the top of these chimneys. And with the drone, you literally can imagine just what he was seeing and feeling. He says this about what it's like being at the top of a chimney on a hot day like today. The hot days of summer are best when everyone down below is sweating away indoors and you're alone up here enjoying a nice cool breeze. You feel to be just suspended in the air 200 feet up, as though you're looking down from heaven. You can feel the chimney at your back sway in the wind. It's not a lot, but you have the feeling of something pleasantly not quite right, as though you have had 5 pints of beer. You suddenly feel right back in the middle of a forest, in the middle of nowhere, in these old mill grounds that have just been left awaiting planning permission. But suddenly nature comes back and you remember that we are a rainforest, essentially. This is just a quick advertisement for Y Food. Now, Y Food is a nutritionally rich, ready to drink, complete meal that tastes absolutely unreal. It's amazing. But not only that, what I've loved about it is how easily it's fit into my day-to-day routine. So normally I'm waking up, going off filming somewhere, could be anywhere around the country. I normally can't be bothered to make breakfast, so I either skip it, or on the way somewhere I'm picking up a sausage butty, bacon butty, something that's not great to be eating every single day. So I've replaced it with Y Food, I could just grab one of these from the fridge and I'm off. And not only that, it's full of loads of great stuff. So you've got 26 vitamins and minerals in there, 34 grams of protein, fibre, it's lactose free, gluten free. So my favourite flavours, happy banana, is so good. But I also really like the classic choco, or the cold brew coffee is really good as well. But there's loads of flavours to choose from. But what I really like about this company as well is they're not selling it as some diet protein shake, some way to lose weight fast. Nah, it's not that at all. It's a way for really busy people like myself who ended up skipping meals or eating unhealthy meals to getting everything they need quickly while they're on the go. And I love that. So if you are interested in checking out Y Food, click the link in the description below and use code TURNIP-YouTube for 10% off your order. I genuinely love this stuff and I've been drinking it every day. Nice one. He lived in a different world, did Fred, a world that didn't want to see stuff like this disappear. And I'll just read this quote. It says, "It's amazing how many people these days supposedly are educated, hold a good job, drive a swanky car, but they don't understand steam engines. They're totally ignorant of how they work. But it was the steam engine that made Britain great. Now, the engines are all gone. The engine room is empty. The windows of the mill are broken. They send for the demolition man to finish off the mills and for me to destroy the chimneys. Now you can almost count them on one hand. Monuments to the dark ages." You can just see here in this window, part of the old pipes that would have run this mill. So interesting. And there's the chimney out the top. So there we go, chimney number 1. And it was a good one with that mill attached. Just like a lot of them still are. A lot of them just stand on their own now as well. A lot of them, the ones that are standing on their own, you'll see them getting demolished more and more. I went to one recently in, I think it was Oldham. Yeah, it was Oldham. Mill chimney getting demolished. I'll put the footage in now, but yeah, this is how they do it now, just with sticks of dynamite. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Whereas Dibnah, he used to have such specific ways of taking down chimneys. Sometimes, if they wanted to be really careful, they'd make him sit on the top and take them down brick by brick, just dropping the bricks down below until you just get back down to the bottom. He said that could take up to weeks at a time. Whereas, yeah, if you set a fire at the bottom, knock the bottom bit out, they can come down very fast. If you want to be a true chimney spotter, you got to wade through stuff like this most of the time. The best way to find chimneys, and the most fun way, is to just follow your eyes. Arrive at a place and just, they'll pop out to you and you can see them. However, it's been so wet recently in England that I've gone to a new method, and this is going to prove just how much of a nerd I am, but I've been going on Google Street View. And you can do this thing now where you come out a little bit and it creates like a 3D model of your area, which you can kind of zoom around. So I've been going to places and doing some virtual chimney spotting, and you see them come, little sticks just in the air. It's good fun. So I've just reached my absolute heaven, because not only is the one chimney there, but down in the distance, you probably can't see it until I fly the drone up, but there's one there, another one beyond that, another one there, another one over the tree, one sticking up from there. So that quote I said before from Dibnah, "I'd have been happier if Lancashire was still covered by its forest of chimneys." Well, flying my drone up around Burnley and looking down, I think he'd have been pleasantly surprised with how many remain here. And there's another lovely quote, I'll just read this. "You see a lot from the peaceful top of a chimney. The comings and goings of a frantic world below. I've seen the atmosphere cleared by the Clean Air Act and the distant moors come into view. At the top of a chimney you have the world at your feet. It gives you a wonderful feeling of freedom, as though you're the king of the castle. You get ideas of grandeur, looking down at those humble rows of little houses and their occupants who go through the doors at the same time each day to some monotonous fixed job, instead of being up here, free as a bird. And I thought from the sky that I was just flying around, I might be able to get to the base of one, and look at this. There we go. My absolute favourites are the ones where you can come and touch the base of them and really feel just how tall they are. So yeah, this is the one that we just flew around. It's had its top blocked off. They often do that. Stop things nesting in there, growing in there like we saw at that first one. Ooh, yeah, another nice bottom here. Look at that. I absolutely love it. So Fred really was just obsessed with the old world. And I love this quote here. He says, "My early fascination with steeplejacking and steam never diminished. I never really acquired any other interests. If, for some catastrophic reason, I couldn't climb chimneys or play with steam engines, it would be the end of me."
Yeah. Well, it looks all right, that now, doesn't it, Donald?
Okay.
Quite splendid.
So whilst I was editing this video, I was enjoying it so much, seeing all the old chimneys in action with the smoke coming out of them. And occasionally one does fire up, but it's hard to figure out when. But I thought, you know what, I'm gonna find a way to show you what a chimney would have looked like back in the day. And luckily, there's another chimney that this will work with, and this one was made for me. So my girlfriend, who's a brilliant ceramicist, built me this mill chimney. And I just bought a smoke bomb. So I'm gonna pull the smoke bomb, drop it in the chimney, and we'll be able to see what a chimney would have looked like back in the day. So let's do this. Gonna give you the camera, Helena. Okay, so turnip mill, built, let's say 1840, produced really good cotton.
Oh my God. Woo!
Wow! So this is me and my mill chimney in action, just like it would have been back in the day before the Clean Air Act.
That's so sick. It's actually like colouring it as well as like it would.
And here we go. Didn't take long at all to find another one. I mean, I thought it was going to be easy today, but this is so easy. They're just everywhere. I just see some people in the office there staring at me like, what are you doing? Just having a look at some chimneys. And whilst I'm at this chimney with the offices behind, there's another lovely quote from Dibnah that I think is quite relevant to how I feel so lucky at the moment that I can come out and look at chimneys and call this my full-time job. It says this: "I'm lucky in the excitement and variety in my life. If I was tied to a desk in an office, I'd be watching the clock all day, waiting for the time when I could escape. It's an exciting and varied life. You're not ruled by the clock. We don't really have to do work at all. You can do what you want. You can take a couple of days off and go play with your steam engine. Or in my case, go look at chimneys." Nice. Right, on to the next one. Hiya. Just looking at the chimneys.
All right, pulling them down.
No, just looking at them. I love Fred Dibnah, so I'm just out making a video. I'm a big Fred Dibnah fan, so.
Oh, God, all right.
Yeah, he didn't manage to pull these ones down, he left them for me. I think there's one just here as well. Oh yeah, look at that one. It's easy to glamorise Dibnah's life and just imagine it was amazing climbing chimneys and looking over the world, but he really struggled being from a time that he thought he wasn't. He knew the industrial age had to end, but he just wished he'd been born in a time when mending steam engines was a real job, not a hobby. After 17 years of marriage though to Dibnah's first wife, he had 3 children. They used to holiday around the UK, visiting steam fairs, going to Blackpool, never once been abroad. His first wife said, "Look, I want to go away, I want to see the other part of the world." Dibnah had no interest in that, and so she went on her own with the kids, and when she came back, this happened. On their arrival back from Greece, they informed me they wanted a divorce. They didn't like the world of steam engines and factory chimneys. I don't know why, because the chimneys have kept us all. It's not so long ago that we were voted the happiest married couple in our steam engine club. But perhaps it's better this way. Alison wants the modern life, and there's no way I'm going to change from being the Victorian tyrant I'm supposed to be. Now let's go look at this square chimney. The brickwork on that though is fantastic. It barely looks like anything's been used to keep the bricks together, like a dry stone chimney. I absolutely love it. You know how much I like dry stone walls, now I like dry stone chimneys. Can you have a look inside? These places not safe to go in anymore. Just poke my camera around the door, but it looks now less work happens in there and more getting pissed. Cans and bags of crisps and empty tobacco packets. How the world has changed. So Fred fell into quite a deep depression after Alison left him his first wife, and he didn't know what to do with himself anymore. He didn't like being at home, he didn't like the quiet, he didn't know the ways of living as a man in that time where you have to do all the jobs for yourself. And it seems the only time he got some peace and quiet and calm in his life was when he was at the top of chimneys, restoring them. And another one here, just found this one, which is next to a beautiful bridge. Look at that. Maybe there'll be a whole new element on this channel, just me looking at nice bridges. What do you reckon, Britain's best bridges? Would you lot watch? You seem to like me looking at chimneys. It's so nice flying my drone up and reading this book and really seeing the similarities between what he saw and what I can now see. And he said this: looking down the chimney I could see the insides of the walls all green. Pigeons were fluttering about. One mistake in places like this and it's half a day out with the undertaker. Right, and up here I found an absolute fatty. It's right chunky one, but I can't. I think this mill's just gonna go all the way around. Oh, maybe I can get in there. Can we see it? I don't think we can see it. Oh no, we can see it. There we go, a little bit anyway. He says this about being born out of his time. I often think I was born out of my time, that I should have been living a century ago. I know about the social horrors of Victorian life, but when I look at the beautiful things they made, chimneys, steam engines, buildings, I can't believe that these were created by people who were sick in heart. I love flying my drone down the chimneys when they've not got the tops on them, but that was the furthest down I've ever got one. And yeah, my heart was absolutely racing. I'm pretty sure that's how I am going to lose this drone one day. It'll be lost to a mill chimney. But that was ace again, just seeing those pigeons hiding out in there and just looking down. That's what Fred would have been looking down a giant hole like that. It's scary having the drone up. Imagine standing on the top of that. Not only standing on the top of it, but hear this. This is what Fred said. I've also been criticised for letting it be known that I sometimes have a few pints at lunchtime before climbing back up the chimney. I'd like to say to my critics to come and try this job sober. When I've had a couple of pints, I take it a little bit easier and more cautiously. One false move and you're dead. So I've just come across this mill, Stanley Mill, 1891. And there's definitely a chimney on it somewhere. I just need to get to the right angle. Oh, I really wish I could climb up them stairs there. That would be sweet. But I just want to read you this other bit from the book. We'll have to finish soon. I've got to get home. But this is the last chimney we'll finish at. But I'll just read you this. Go look at the chimney, then we'll go home. So this bit's just where he's talking about how he doesn't like knocking them down. He calls it legalised vandalism. What we're doing is legalised vandalism. We're wrecking things of beauty that can never be replaced. But they have a strange sort of beauty that Lowry captured in his paintings. They're magnificent, beyond comparison with anything that's been put up in the last 50 years. And there it is, the last one, a beauty, an absolute beauty. Look at the size of the old mill wall. And then up there, the final chimney. Right, so there we go. Great day out, looking at chimneys, accompanied by the words of Dibnah. It's been great. I thought I'd just finish with this paragraph at the end of the day at the final chimney. I think there actually are more chimneys in Burnley than I've found, but I actually have other things to do today, so I do have to get off. But I'll just finish with this. All empires have their great days and pass. The ancient Egyptians built the pyramids, but they were reduced afterwards to racing about on camels. I think we've had our day too. I don't want to seem like a diehard, but if you think about it, England's great days, the invention and perfecting of steam engine and industrial machinery in the late 18th and early 19th century, the canals and the coal mines and the factories, the zeal and the optimism, the empire that, even when I was a child, spanned the world. When you think of that, and what we've come to in our national and personal life, it can only be seen as terminal decline. From about 1790 to about 1914, we led the world, and since then, in almost every way, we've been running downhill. And that were Dibnah.
Be a brave man who can tackle one of them with a box of matches and not feel any worry, wouldn't you?
Didn't have time to blow the hooter.